In celebration of the Captain Marvel movie, we just like to give you a brief history on who this superhero is, and kind of give you a brief introduction of the different 7 Captain Marvels that there has been in Marvel Comics history. So let's start with the first one, Mar-Vell himself. Mar-Vell is the most quintessential Captain Marvel. He is an alien of the Kree race before identifying with the humans as their sworn protector of Earth. He was one of the most adored and well-recognized superheroes. He is recognized for leading the Avengers against Thanos in one of their first encounters. Captain Marvel possesses a large arsenal of powers, making him an A-lister superhero. He gets his powers from the Kree Empire and Aeon, a cosmic space entity. His powers consists of him having increased physical strength, interstellar flight, the ability to absorb and manipulate various types of energy, increased invulnerability to physical attacks, survival in the vacuum of space. He doesn't need to eat, drink, sleep, or to breathe. He has cosmic awareness, which is arguably his most powerful trait. He has antimatter and matter force transferal, and he has teleportation, portal projection, and dimensional travel enabled. So for some time, Mar-Vell and Rick Jones fused together through this powerful Kree artifact called the Negabands, which were created by Supremor of the Kree. Captain Marvel gains cosmic awareness from the space cosmic entity Aeon, where the best way I can describe it to you is that it's spider sense on steroids. He's just aware of everything around him except everything in space. I recommend that you guys actually check out Death of Captain Marvel, which actually issued in 1982. It's a very good read, and one of the few and rare canonical arcs in Marvel Comics where a big superhero dies and actually stays dead, at least currently. The next Captain Marvel worth going into is Monica Rambeau. She is a lieutenant in the New Orleans Harbor Patrol and operated as a cargo ship captain. And she was trying to prevent a dangerous weapon, where she was exposed to extra-dimensional energy and gave her energy power similar to Captain Marvel, so everybody just started calling her Captain Marvel. She decided to use her powers to fight crime under that name that the media has given her, and the Thing, Ben Grimm, actually told her that I don't think that the original Captain Marvel wouldn't mind. Rambeau later replaced the Wasp as the leader of the Avengers for a short period of time until the battle with Leviathan, a sea monster, where during that battle she actually transformed into a massive bolt of lightning to try to stop her, but ended up conducting herself across the water where her atoms dissipated so far apart that she barely regained her physical form. When she did come back, she came back as a frail, withered husk of a person without her powers, and that's how her career effectively ended as Captain Marvel. But she ended up continuing her acts of heroism through under superhero surnames as Pulsar, Photon, and eventually Spectrum. The third Captain Marvel worth talking about is Genis Vell. He's in the 90s issues of Captain Marvel, where he's the artificial son made by Elysius, Mar-Vell's lover, who misses him to the point that she actually makes 2 artificial babies using Mar-Vell's DNA. So Genis Vell actually fuses with Rick Jones for some time using the Negabands once again, and it creates this very interesting dynamic where Rick Jones takes on the mentor role because he has the experience but no powers, while Genis Vell has the powers but no experience. Genis Vell eventually goes insane from having cosmic awareness, which he inherited from his father's DNA. He eventually dies to Baron Zemo, where his remains are spread throughout the galaxy because this is comic logic here, guys, but his body was a manifestation of time and space, and if he kept intact as a whole person, the universe would cease to exist. So, the next Captain Marvel was Philo Bell, who is also an artificial daughter of Mar-Vell, where Elysius actually created her as well, who happens to be the brother of Genis Vell, and she took up the Captain Marvel mantle for a brief time until Genis Vell took over again. She went on to become Quasar by possessing the Quantum Sword, and she eventually died to Magus, but an alternative Philo Bell from a different universe came to replace ours, and so now, currently, Philo Bell, her whereabouts is being part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. The next Captain Marvel is Kinnear, a Skrull soldier made to believe that he is the original Mar-Vell. he has implanted memories of Mar-Vell, so he thinks and acts the same way as him, and he eventually turned on the scrolls and resumed to being Captain Marvel and resuming Mar-Vell's duty to protect Earth. He actually eventually dies fighting the Kree in the Secret Invasion comic series. And Novar is another Kree who was Marvel Boy for some time, where Kinnear actually gives him the mantle of Captain Marvel before he dies. And so Novar becomes Captain Marvel for some time. And a holographic message left by the Supreme Intelligence of the Kree Empire tells Novar that the actions of the Skrulls during the Secret Invasion had left Earth in more danger than ever before, and that he becomes Earth's new protector. And that's his new superhero name. And he has since gone on to the Young Avengers and is currently with the West Coast Avengers using the name Marvel Boy once again. So Marvel kind of just dropped him being Captain Marvel, but he was Captain Marvel for some time. The next, and the one we all know and love today, is Carol Danvers. Carol Danvers is the current Captain Marvel. Now, before becoming Captain Marvel that we all know and love today, she's actually widely known for being the original Ms. Marvel. So how did she get there? Well, she started off as being a United States Air Force security chief, where she was involved fighting the Kree Empire in one of her expeditions. It was during that time that she met and eventually befriended Mar-Vell, the original Captain Marvel, whose enemies would soon be responsible for her future transformation as a superhero. The alien Yon-Rogg kidnaps her, and while she was concussed, Mar-Vell was fighting with Yon-Rogg, and in that battle, Carol was knocked into a damaged Kree machine called the Psych Magnetron, which is a powerful device that could turn imagination into reality. Just let that sink in. And Carol's genetic structure was altered, effectively making her a half-Kree superhuman. And then she eventually dons the superhero persona that we all originally know she is today as Ms. Marvel. Now, after she becomes a superhuman, she gets the powers of superhuman strength and durability. She can fly at roughly 6 times the speed of sound and has a 7th sense. She can shoot explosive blasts of energy. She has the ability to absorb other forms of energy such as electricity. She has energy projection, up to the force of an exploding nuclear weapon. Danvers cannot absorb magical energy without consequence, though. A pivotal moment for Carol Danvers was her new costume that was actually designed by The Wasp by Jan Van Dyne, and that's the black costume that we all know love today. At least I do. One of the biggest moments of Carol Danvers' history as Ms. Marvel was a pivotal battle between her and Rogue, where Mystique, Rogue's adopted mother and sworn enemy of Ms. Marvel, had wished to kill her. So Rogue wanted to prove herself to her mother by attacking Carol on her own, where the battle had reigned for some time across the city. And eventually, Rogue's power had increased where she can permanently absorb a person's memories and powers, and had done so to Carol, where she almost kills her before Spider-Woman barely saves her. And during this time, Carol Danvers loses her memories and her powers for some time, where she ends up going to the X-Men, mostly to Professor X, to help rehabilitate her memory loss. And it was during that time where she was working alongside the X-Men, where she was their pilot and intelligence operative, since she has that history of being in the Air Force. It was then where she moves on to an expedition where she gets kidnapped by the Brood alien race, where they tortured her and experimented on her, and out of that she just becomes really powerful, and she dons a new superhero persona as Binary. And during this time, she possessed superhuman strength far greater than her own, and she had the ability to survive in deep space without being harmed, and she has the ability to manipulate cosmic energy by tapping into a white hole. She became a space warrior essentially, and hung out with the Starjammers, where they repelled an expanding sun, where she gets almost killed in the process, and she loses her powers as Binary. But it's not all bad, because she eventually gets her original powers as Ms. Marvel back. It was shortly after she gets her powers back. All of her hardships and traumas had finally caught up to her, with her constant losses and betrayals, that she finally took up the bottle. And it got so bad to the point that she was actually kicked out of the Avengers. And so we all know her today as being a struggling alcoholic, which her friendship actually strengthened with Tony Stark. through this mutual demons that they're both fighting. Shortly after that, she became Warbird for a little bit, where she was a SHIELD operative. She became a parole officer for supervillains for some time. Now, it wasn't until the House of M where she was still classified as a B-listed superhero, and during House of M she becomes an A-lister, and she's recognized for being a super powerful superhero. And it was not until 2012's run of Captain Marvel, starring her, where she finally goes on some mission with Captain America, and afterward, Captain America tells her that she should take up the mantle to be Captain Marvel. And at the end of the issue, she eventually comes to that resolve and accepts to becoming Captain Marvel. Since then, she has been headlining Marvel's superhero in the events that follow, such as Secret Wars, Civil War II, Secret Empire, and now the upcoming War of the Realms. She is starring in her own movie, Captain Marvel, premiering in 2019, where she will continue her screen presence in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where she will be in the next Marvel movie in 2019, Avengers Endgame. So that pretty much wraps up the history of Captain Marvel. Very rich history with many different people donning the mantle of Captain Marvel. And I'd like to know what your thoughts are about the history and how you like the current Captain Marvel. With that being said, thank you all for watching. Love ya.